Friday Livecast.
Yay, Friday Livecast! It's been a while since we've done one of these. Woo! We're really excited to be here.
Got our Starbucks, got our Rouge.
I'm
brandy.
so glad that lid was actually like screwed on properly because my new dress and this couch would have been completely destroyed.
I would have cried over the couch.
Hi, Mom, and hi, Bernadette, and shocker, Nicole's watching. She's right over there.
So, hi, I'm Lauren.
And I'm Abby.
And we're from American Duchess.
If you didn't already figure that out. So we're going to go over today, we're going to start our whole series about the book, second book. So if you're familiar with what we did with the first book, we broke it down bit by bit and we went through and we showed you things that we made. We talked about these things to kind of give you an in-depth preview of what you're going to get with this beautiful, gorgeous piece of work that we're super proud of, who's graced, the cover is graced by the woman herself, Cynthia Secchi. She is lovely.
We know this is backwards. Sorry.
Yeah, just heads up.
It says 18th century beauty. Yes. The second book is, in case you've been living under a rock and not paying attention to our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everything. Emails, and blog, and everything else. It's the American Duchess Guide to 18th Century Beauty. It's the companion book to our first book, which is the American Duchess Guide to 18th Century Dressmaking. That's a mouthful. And this is all about head and shoulders.
No knees and no toes.
Yes.
So if you guys have any questions as we're going through, please feel free to ask them. Nicole is going to be feeding us questions so that way we're not doing this thing like we normally do. But we'll do our best to answer them as we go along. So today we're going to focus on most of the first section of the book, which is about preparing your toilette or cosmetics, hair products, things like that. So that's what we're going to go through this week. Next week we're going to go through, are we going through hair next week?
I believe it's the hairstyles.
And then the following week we're going to talk about all the accessories that we make. So that's going to be the big like show off of all the things that we've sewn. So it's very exciting. And as always, I think we might have said this, maybe not, but just for those tuning in, we're live right now. We won't be live later. So some of the questions we're going to answer in the video, some of the questions we're going to answer just typing with our fingers.
Digits.
Yeah, our fingies. And going through that way. But we'll do our best to answer questions as fast as we can and after the video's up too.
Cool. So the big thing about, I think one of the most maybe groundbreaking-ish parts of this book is what the 18th century hair care products are and the why of them and how you use them to recreate the hairstyles. So here's the big shocker, guys. They didn't have hairspray in the 18th century.
Surprise.
So they had pomade, right? And they had powder, right? So this is like what we might call pomade or hair wax today. They called it pomade then. Believe me, there's hair powder in here. This is like dry shampoo. But in the 18th century, they used these two things together. And it basically made hair glue.
Incredible, glorious hair glue that
lightweight, beautiful. And it's what allowed them to get those super big or fluffy or curly or wide or crazy styles that are so unique to this period of history.
Yeah. So as with everything, we try to incorporate a bit of history with what we're talking about, as well as the recipes, especially since we're talking about hair care, and I'm sure you all know there are a lot of myths about 18th century hair care, hairdressing, the materials and ingredients used, and that's something that, you want to get me going real fast.
There's a reason they're called myths.
Yeah.
Because they're not true.
They're not true. So we address these myths, we explain the myths, we debunk the myths, and we back up our myths with footnotes. Or explain the myths.
This is Abby's real favorite part of the book is the footnotes.
Yeah, it's my favorite part. So that's what we do. So we talk about what is pomatum or pomade. We talk about...
We even have a picture of a sheep.
Yeah. She's really proud of that. She found that.
Royalty free.
Thank you to all the museums who are currently going royalty free for the digital collection. It makes doing this a whole lot easier.
This one came from Yale Center for British Art.
Yeah. So we break down what is pomade, how is it made, what was it used for, why does it work, things like that. We talk about what is hair powder, what is it, why, all of that.
What it isn't.
And then we talk about actually the hygiene behind it. Luckily, I was able to spend a lot of time pomading and powdering my hair in a fairly accurate context with my previous job at Colonial Williamsburg. So I was able to really figure out, will I get fleas? Will I get lice?
Will you attract rats?
Will my hair fall out? Will I attract rats? Will I have vermin just appear one day?
Will you stink?
Will I stink? And so I can actually address that directly in the book, and I do. Also, if you're ever curious to know the largest rat found in the New York subway system, check the footnotes. That one's for you, darling. But that's actually what we talk about. And long story short, the stuff is actually a really efficient way to take care of your hair. It's very similar to the no poo movement going on today, and people realizing that washing your hair every day
isn't great for it.
Isn't good for your hair, and using cheap shampoos and conditioners also is really bad for your hair. Don't do it. And things like that. In addition, actually doing the hair pomade and powder, you realize how your hair did the rat have pizza or a pole dancer? I think it had both. How it actually is really, really good to use for your hair.
For the record, my hair is pomaded and powdered right now in this wet set. This is actually the fourth or fifth day I've done this, and I did a pomade wet set with powder. You can't see it because it's very light in this particular style, whereas some of the 18th century stuff you do rather heavily.
But
very heavily. But my hair feels amazing, and it's nice and curly, and it's all like conditioned, but it's also lightweight. I have very, very, very fine hair. And so it tends to get weighed down a lot with modern products like glycerin-based products or petroleum-based products. So we're going to talk a little bit more about what's in these products and why it's so good for your hair.
Yeah. So I think we actually can move on to that.
What section are we going to?
I don't know.
You want pomade?
Yeah, let's talk about pomade.
Okay.
So we have technically 3 types of pomade in the book. We have my go-to absolute favorite, common Compom, just common pomatum. This is the one that you've seen kind of float around on the internet and more people making it. It is mutton tallow and pig lard mixed together in a certain ratio to get an ideal consistency.
Which one is the more? It's more lamb, isn't it? Than it is pig.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Pig lard is softer. If you've ever looked at like bacon grease, it has a more like whippy consistency, I think is the way to describe it. Where mutton tallow is harder and it has a more crumble factor. So by mixing them together, you get a nice creamy consistency. Nicole.
We have a question. Yeah, question about 1790s hair, maybe versus 1770s, more or less pomade or powder in certain times.
We addressed that in the book.
Question.
And I think we actually will talk about that next week.
We could talk about it now because it does have to do with the cosmetics.
Yeah.
The general trend is hair powder is really massive it's like a big deal in the middle of the century. And then it does taper off. And there's a very distinct point, at least in Britain, where it ceases because of legislation.
Yeah. So we actually have a tiny epilogue in the back of the book with that amazing
ladies.
print that talks about what happened to hair powder. Because it's not, I think a lot of people go, oh, French Revolution, hair flour, bread, blah.
Guys, it's not flour.
It's not flour.
There's no flour at all
and
in hair powder.
It's very nuanced. And it's something that we actually can relate to today politically because it's based off a lot of propaganda, hashtag false news. And it actually causes a lot of issues politically and socially. People were getting attacked in the streets. Because people, even then in the 18th century, be careful putting that down. Sorry. We have a lot of hair powder in that tub. People were, I'm trying to be serious. No, I just washed it. But people had a lot of misconceptions even in the 18th century. And so since they didn't understand the process of starch manufacturing versus flour manufacturing, how the starch manufacturing actually does not negatively affect the flour manufacturing and the bread industry because hair starch was actually made out of the bad wheat bits. It's a whole thing. And then the British government passed laws and taxes and you had to buy things, but as always, people in certain positions of power were able to get them for much cheaper. But hair powder just doesn't disappear completely, but it's just taxed. It's just taxed, and it gets a very negative effect to it. And additionally, the concept of hygiene changes too at the turn of the century. So there's a few different things going on. But it's not just like, oh, let them eat cake, off with their head, no hair powder. That's not true. So that was,
There's a couple
Spoiler
really
alert.
great primary papers on this that talk about this specifically, which we found.
Yeah, and we cite them in
They're
the book.
cited in here, so you can go and read about the death of Hairpowder.
Yeah,
essentially.
and how they felt about it at that time in history. So we have, going back to pomades, we have 3 types of pomades. We have the common pomade, which we talked about, which is the mutton and pork lard, and it's scented with clove and lemon oil.
It doesn't smell bad.
Yeah, it doesn't
if
smell
you
bad.
wash the fat correctly.
Yeah, if you follow our instructions very, very carefully. So we have that recipe, and then from that recipe, we're able to build onto 2 other types of hair pomade. The other one is the Maréchal pomade, which this was kind of a fun experiment.
This is totally fun. You can see the difference.
Yeah.
Here.
So this one actually has a little bit of beeswax in it, and it also has some spices in it. Because in the 1780s, especially, Maréchal powder and pomade were really, really trendy.
So what is Maréchal?
So that's really kind of tricky to answer. But basically, it's a brown colored pomade and powder.
Very lightly brown, not like pigment.
There's some nuances here that is scented with cinnamon, clove, mace, all those delicious spices.
Cookie spices.
Cookie spices. It's scented and used with that. So what you're seeing in here, the color actually comes from the spices used. And
You can probably see them very, very up close. You see the
you
little
can see
speckles, like cookie dough?
Yeah.
That's cinnamon, mace, allspice,
Clove, all of
clove, all that. And cool stuff about these particular smells, and this is why the whole bugs, lice, rats, that kind of thing.
which we address.
These are natural, not insecticides, but insect
propellant.
repellents. So when you have like clove oil in dog and tick or lemon or that heavy like citrusy scent, all those smells that you use in natural bug repellents these days, they were putting in their hair items then.
Yeah.
So bugs are not going to be like, oh yeah, cool,
Yeah.
I want to live in that, because it smelled so strongly of delicious clove and lemon
Yeah.
and rosemary and those kinds
Orange
of
and
pine, those
everything.
kinds of very strong scents that are so lovely.
So, but we walk you through how to make them step by step. And just really quickly, we do want to give a shout out to fatworks.com. They supplied us the most incredible quality animal fats.
Yeah.
We strongly recommend that you get your stuff from them. In fact, they have a bundle now of pork lard and mutton tallow, lamb tallow, I should say, combined together, where you get 10% off. And also, if you're just really into cooking, they have every sort of animal fat under the sun. And well, Nicole and I got really hungry yesterday. But we strongly recommend fatworks.com, and we're really grateful for them for the collaboration on this book. It really, really helped us out, and we're really satisfied with the product.
Yeah, they're also a slow food and family owned and very small business out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Super nice to work with. That's where we recommend you get your stuff from.
Yeah. But we walk you through step by step. The most important part, washing the fat. That's what this is. But how to do everything. And then, so we have the Maréchal as well, and very specific instructions with that. But then we have what some of you might have noticed in the Instagram video yesterday, hard pomade. Dun, 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 dun.
So hard pomade has a lot of beeswax in it, and it's used to make your hair stand straight up when you need something a little bit more shut up. When you need to
Payback.
yeah, totally, because I wasn't doing that entirely while we were making these for hours during our
Or
our
just
project.
going crazy with your hair powder that minute ago.
it's quite hard. So you have to put this into molds, and you know,
We decided to have some fun with ours.
there's a lot of silicone molds available on Amazon,
Amazon.
and so we decided on this one.
Yeah.
But you could also do like
Wiener dogs.
wiener dogs, or
Which actually is a good shape because
wieners, or yeah.
we might have thought about
TIE
that.
fighters.
So we actually,
Carrots.
the original ones, they were kind of like almost in chapstick, like lipstick, like the cylinder shapes. But we decided to have some fun. So honestly, I think if you were like really into it and you're making a whole bunch, like doing this in like chapstick, like
That would be a good
things
idea.
would be a
Yeah.
really good idea. But you need it to be able to rub on the hair directly and hold it in your hand at the same time. So that's why we went with something small and easy to hold. And that's actually why the wiener dog wasn't a terrible idea for a silicone mold.
But it just wasn't as fun.
No, we thought this was funnier. Basically, and it eased us.
So that is then common pomatum, hard pomatum, which is made from common pomatum.
And Maréchal.
Yes. With all the spices in it.
All the species.
Yeah, so these are the things that you make in the book and that you need to do with these hairstyles.
Yeah.
It's important that they are made just the way that we have them in the book. Those are original recipes.
Yeah.
Because otherwise this stuff won't work.
Yeah.
You can't go to the store and get just any pomade and then put it just with any hair powder because it doesn't act the same way. What you want is a nice lightweight, soaks into the hair, binds with the powder.
Oh, it's so nice.
It's so nice to create this like, it's a very odd texture. It's pliable and sculptable and it sticks together, but it's very lightweight.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
awesome.
the key.
And if you have really fine hair, all of a sudden you have like this mane of hair.
It's just like,
and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm in a like Vidal Sassoon commercial from the 70s, and it's incredible. Like, it's just the best thing in the world when
we
you
took
have really
Cynthia's
fine
hair down, it was just like this giant bouffant.
Yeah, because she's a redhead, so she had a lot of hair
lot of
anyways.
So those of you who have really fine hair, even if it's really long, pomade and powder will make your hair like 2 or 3 times the size. It's amazing.
We have a really good question.
Okay.
Yeah, asking if this will work on synthetic wigs.
No. That's a no. We tried.
Hard no.
Don't waste your time.
The reason is because the pomade has to, and the powder too, has to soak into your hair. The hair follicle expands when that happens. And if it's plastic, if it's fake hair, it doesn't soak in. We really, really did try, and it just really didn't work. The powder won't stick to it. It'd be bad.
Yeah, it's bad. The good news is that if you invest in some high-end natural hair, real hair extensions, the pomade and powder is a great way to maintain the integrity of the extensions, and they last a much longer time. And they just soak that stuff right up, and it's a very happy extension.
So along the lines, and we're going to get into more of this when we talk about the hairstyle specifically, but we do have how-to instructions on how to do a toupee, which is the center part of the head here, the chignon, which is the long hair, and then buckles. You can get real hair on Amazon for not that expensive, or you can go, your route with the more high-end stuff.
Yeah.
And make those hair pieces, and it makes doing the hairstyles really, really quick and easy. You put the work in to make those. Like when we go to Scotland, I'm just packing my toupee and my chignon in there because despite having all this hair, for some styles, my hair is actually too long. For a lot of them, actually. And for some styles, my hair's too short. And that's true of women in the past, too.
Yeah.
So without going too far into the hair pieces now.
That's next week, guys.
Yes. If you have short hair, you can do these hairstyles. If you have long hair, you can do these hairstyles.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, so spoiler alert, you don't need to have super long hair or super short hair or anything. We do every type of hair length. So just spread the word on that, because that's something that we've gotten a lot of we need really long hairstyles, we need really short hairstyles.
They're all there.
They're all there. All of them. They're there. There's really only a couple hairstyles where really short hair is better and really long hair is better.
Yeah.
But even then, it's completely adaptable.
Do you have instructions on how to wash it out?
Yes! And after you read about the demise of hair powder, you can read about how to get this stuff out of your hair. I think that's actually, it's called like how to get this shit out of your hair.
We censored it a bit. We wanted to call it how to get this shit out of your hair, but we said stuff instead.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom, for
How
that
to get
one.
it out of your hair.
Yeah, that's a trick I learned from my mama.
Yep.
So going on then from hair pomade, we have the hair powder. And like we said, we have
I'll
an
be careful
essay
this time.
on what is hair powder, how is it used, and what was it made from.
I'll use this.
So hair powder was traditionally wheat starch and mixed with scents and spices and other things like that, or colors as well. But the most common common hair powder, white hair powder, I'll get it out, I promise, was predominantly just wheat starch. Now, in the book, we don't use wheat starch, we use cornstarch, and there's a couple reasons why. One, the availability of wheat starch is tricky. Someone actually just turned me on to a source that I find reputable, because when I've gotten wheat starch in the past, I honestly don't think it was. I think it was just a really high grade flour, and you don't want flour, you want starch. Now, when I was doing all this experimentation a long time ago, I had like potato starch, tapioca starch, rice starch, corn starch, wheat starch, and I looked at them and I realized they're all very similar. So when we were talking about this for the book, and our publishers were like, ingredients, accessibility, one of the things that we easily kind of just went with was the idea of swapping out wheat starch for cornstarch. This also is good for people who are gluten intolerant. So one of our models, Lori, she wouldn't have been able to model for us if we had used wheat starch. But since we used cornstarch, it's gluten-free, and obviously that is a much safer situation for her. So that's something to keep in mind. If you want to do wheat starch, you absolutely can do wheat starch. We just didn't for this book, and we wanted to make it a little bit easier. We did also omit the bones,
Cornstarch.
the bones from this recipe, because over time, I have a hard time really going, okay, but why? I couldn't figure out the but why behind it. And then additionally, other than cuttlefish bone, which does grind up into a beautiful fine powder, any sort of ground up bone meal from a mammal is meant for gardening, and so it's not fine and it's not high quality, and it honestly just settles to the bottom anyways. And when you read hairdressing manuals in the 18th century, they talk about how hair powder needs to be fine.
Super fine.
Super fine like snow. And it needs to be pure like snow. And so, again, the decision was made. We know what we need, and we don't today have the materials and ingredients exactly the way they did. So we need to adapt it to be as closest to the original as possible while still maintaining the integrity of what we're trying to do. And since there are so many hair powder recipes with so many rando ingredients in them, it was a really comfortable decision to make. It makes it easier for you guys, it makes it easier to explain, and it makes it less icky because we already know the animal fats is one thing. So putting bone in hair powder is kind of like a whole other step. So we omitted that.
Yeah, it's very, very easy to source the ingredients and make the hair powder. You make a lot of it, and it functions the same. So
yeah, and it works.
The chemical binding of the starch to fat. So even if you didn't, let's say you're just having a super greasy day, man, you have not washed your hair in 2 weeks.
It's usually us on Thursdays.
Yeah. You would put dry shampoo in your hair, right? It's the same thing. It is dry shampoo is starch.
Yeah.
So that Aveda stuff that you bought for $18, ask me how I know, it's cornstarch.
Yeah.
Because it binds with the oils in your hair.
And
if you need to add more oils to your hair that are very, very close to your chemistry, you add the pork lard and the lamb tallow. It's very close to our chemistry. That's why it works. And you create the pliable, lovely powdered hair that you can make these styles
Also
with.
makes a great face moisturizer if you're in a pinch.
And hand moisturizer
yeah.
too.
So we have just the normal white hair powder, and then we also did the Marechal powder because we use the Marechal powder for the pomade. And again, this is mostly
This smells so good.
mostly just cornstarch and just spices.
It is shit tons of spices, you guys.
And
It's like those giant industrial containers of cinnamon and cloves that you get at Costco.
yeah.
It's because
It smells so good that the clove is wafting. Her husband hates cloves, so we always have to keep it hidden when he's around. But it smells really, really good.
It's amazing.
If you are sensitive to clove oil, FYI, be really, really careful with this stuff. And same for everything. I have a friend, Felicity. I gave her some pomade ages ago, and her scalp, she's just sensitive to clove oil. So you might need to make some substitutions, just a heads up.
Yeah.
So Marechal powder, if you're sensitive to clove oil,
Just leave the cloves out
just
of
don't
it.
do it.
Yeah, replace it with something if it's the pomade, lemon.
Yeah.
Just
Lavender.
leave the cloves out of the powder.
Yeah.
Yes, Nicole.
If someone has a gluten and corn allergy, you mentioned
Potato starch, tapioca starch, rice starch. Just experiment with what you can handle, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And why not baby powder?
Baby powder's not.
It's talcum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't bind the same way with the oil.
It also smells like baby powder. And there's actually some evidence that talcum and baby powder might be connected to cancer.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
So no, that's a big no on the baby powder and the talcum powder.
Doesn't
Don't do
work.
it.
Doesn't do the same.
But you can use low quality spices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go to Costco, Walmart, Amazon, you buy those big old
Yeah.
yeah.
I just bought the big stuff, and Costco quality products are actually really good. So yeah, you'll be fine.
You're just gonna eat a lot of it.
Yeah.
Now,
So be ready
a
to
note
make
on
a
that.
lot of cookies.
A note on
Snickerdoodles
that.
are in your future.
We still have giant things.
I do. I have these in my pantry.
These recipes, that's where it went.
Yeah.
These recipes make a lot. And we halved the pomade recipe and the powder recipe, and it makes a lot. If you do the 18th century hair all the time, you go to reenactments a lot, then cool, how many of these did we have?
We have so many.
8 or 10 or 12. So you can have the recipes again.
Yeah.
Save yourself some money on the fat too.
Yeah.
And you'll have just tons and tons of this stuff.
Quarter them.
Quarter 'em,
We We didn't do too much because we also were like, well, we need to make a lot because we're going to be doing a lot of hair. But even with all the hair that we were doing,
We have more than like a lifetime
we
supply.
have a lifetime supply. So let me tell you guys something. If you ever see us at an event and you're hurting for some pomade, just ask. We'll probably just
got
give
it.
it to you. It might be partially used, but we'll we got plenty at home. It's fine. Just take it.
There you go. Now this stuff actually lasts quite a long time. So how long does it last?
I mean, this depends. Basically, so long as you don't get anything to taint it, like water or anything that can actually grow mold. Fat is a pretty good preserver, and it was used as a preservative to keep things from going bad. So long as you're not exposing it to extreme temperatures and you're not putting coffee and weird stuff, make sure your hands don't have something to adulterate
Spores.
it. Yeah, then you should be okay.
I've had one of the pomades you made years ago. I've had it for a very long time.
Yeah.
It's never grown anything in it because the heavy lemon and clove scent, again, they keep things from growing in it. And if you keep it sealed in an airtight container, it can last a really, really, really long time. The powder, of course, never goes bad.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So
neither does the rouge.
Ooh, Elizabeth, I just saw this one. Ew, that's so nasty.
Oh.
Ew. So, guys who might not see this, Elizabeth Hatcher says talcum and asbestos grow next to each other and in the earth, so contamination is common. So that's why we don't.
That would explain it.
Yeah, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
So when it comes,
the lesson we keep learning is, and I know that those are natural ingredients, but really straightforward natural ingredients. They're unadulterated. I mean, people love to assign stupidity to people in the 18th century. This is where these myths comes from of they powdered their hair and they wore wigs and they had rats and they blah blah blah.
Creatures.
They must that doesn't make sense. We're human beings, We're not I want to live in filth. Cool, I'll just have some lice in my hair. No, they used natural bug repellents and natural ingredients to create these products.
So really quickly, I want to talk about storage of these products. Obviously, historically accurate containers are not that common, and this is going to be a struggle bus for those who want to do these as demonstrations versus using them at home. And there are some options available. There are things you can kind of do, but for the sake of easy storage and accessibility, we really, really like these wide mouth mason jars because they're shallow. These are 12.5 ounces. I don't remember how much these are.
8.
Eight.
I think they're 8.
Something. It was something very happy math because this makes it really easy to get to. So if you're not showing this off in front of the public, these types of ball jars are great for these sorts of things.
If you are showing it off in the front of the public, there's actually quite a few toilet sets that you can look at in the Met Museum collection, and we have a pomade jar here. That's an original. I don't know if that snapped shut. It looks like it has a little metal band on it.
Yeah.
Or if it just set down there, but little ceramic jar like that. This is lovely.
Yeah. So that's something that's really, really, really happy to do.
Cool. So those are the hair products that you need. You combine them. You do this before all the hairstyles. This is the magic secret. It's not really that much of a secret, but we show you exactly how to pomade and powder your hair, how much to use, how the texture that you want, how slick you want your hair to look with the pomade, how much powder you put on, blah, blah, blah. You have to do all of that before you can do any of the hairstyles in this book.
Yeah.
That's
It's
the
a
accurate
must.
way. No hairspray necessary. It's pomade and powder.
Yeah, and you'll be good. So now we're going to move on to the couple of actual cosmetics that we have in the book. We do talk about cosmetics. We talk about the white lead face paint. That's a thing for me, guys. We talk about what you see in portraiture, what was available, how people were talking about cosmetics, how people were using cosmetics, what recipes you see for cosmetics. And basically what this boils down to is that the 18th century cosmetic books, for example, Toilette de Flora, which you can find on Google Books, is predominantly about maintenance and skin care. So it's moisturizers, it's cold creams for wrinkle reduction, spot removal, keeping your hands looking good, all the things that we as women in the 21st century also worry about and focus on. That's what they focused on too. And in fact, in Toilette de Flora, there is no recipe, at least none that I can actually recall, for a white kind of foundation. So we don't do that in the book. I actually don't recommend it. People were doing it, yes, but even by the 1780s, they knew that lead was problematic.
And here's a nice primary quote that's cited that tells you in the 18th century they thought so and they knew that too.
Yeah.
Does that mean some women did it? Well,
Yes.
some women do extreme things today.
Exactly.
Too. But was it the norm?
Yeah.
No.
So we focus on just improving what you already have. And so that means we do a rouge and we do a lip balm and a lip salve. We don't do like the clove like eyebrow thing because frankly
It's a burnt clove and it doesn't make for a great tutorial.
yeah, I mean like literally it would have been a photo of like me with a lighter like holding a clove. So we just kind of say stick to your eyebrow pencil because strong brows were a thing. So get a good eyebrow pencil and spoolie that stuff, man, blend it. But my favorite recipe in this whole book is,
The top is on that, by the way.
thank God, is the rouge. And this is actually how much rouge you'll have. So, you'll never need to buy some or make some again. And this stuff lasts forever. And it is the most incredible color. It works on every skin tone. Every model in this book wore this rouge.
Yeah.
And it has great staying power. It has great buildability. It's very sheer and it's very easy to use.
It's beautiful. So
Beautiful.
I have a hard time finding really natural looking like rouges and or not blush and lipstick that has like a nice sort of berry tint to it. They always come out too orange or they always come out too pink. This rouge, it's there. It's natural. It's amazing. It's the perfect color. You can also use it on your lips. You just sort of like dab it on there. It's a stain essentially.
Yeah.
And yes, this is more rouge than all your friends are going to get rouge for the rest of your life.
This is what it's done to the top of the lid. So another thing about this rouge is that it does have sediment in it because the instructions don't actually say whether or not you should remove the sediment. But what happens is you can rub it. You see how, oh my God, all this stuff. So you rub it on your skin.
Very light application.
Yeah, like that's a very, very light application.
And you can blend it out.
Yeah,
as well.
I'm not blending it so you guys can see it. But then like once it dries, you just kind of wipe the sediment off and then you have that. But you can see how that's blending into my skin really, really nicely. And it kind of takes on a more purplish or orangish tone. I think it just kind of reacts to your chemistry.
Your pH.
So that way it's actually very, very flattering.
You can use it over foundation.
You tried, yeah. We've all done it, yeah.
Yeah, and what I like to do is, so I'll put my regular like foundation on, and then I'll put the rouge on, and then I'll take my kabuki brush and I'll just sort of very lightly go over it, and it kind of evens it out if my fingers haven't done that great of a job.
Yeah.
We're not wearing that rouge today, but
No.
it's magic. And again, you could probably do a 16th of that recipe and still have tons and tons of rouge. A little tiny bit goes a long way.
But it's actually extremely inexpensive to make.
Because it's mostly alcohol.
So it's mostly brandy.
In fact, it smells like a liquor store in here right
Yeah. Whatever you do, just make sure no one ever drinks it because
Yeah.
that's not gonna go well.
No.
So, but if you are sensitive to like alcohol on your skin, that is something to think about. I know today people are like, oh, alcohol and da, 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 da. But I mean, it evaporates very quickly on the skin, and it has great staying power too.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
I love this stuff. It's the best
Yeah.
cosmetic.
We wear that for 1830s. I've worn it for Victorian. It's
timeless.
It's amazing, and it's really easy to make.
Yeah, very, very easy and cheap to make. So, which is why we included it.
Yes.
So
essential.
The other thing we did is a lip salve. This is another recipe that we slightly tweaked because this one comes from Toilette de Flora, and we tweaked it because it originally called for mutton tallow, and we just kind of felt that would be a bit too far for some people. So we opted just to put cocoa butter in it. You do see references for cocoa butter in historic cosmetic books, so it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. So we made that change. But if you want to do it with the mutton tallow, just straight exchange.
Yep.
The cocoa butter, mutton tallow, and you'll be good to go. Make sure it's clean.
Yeah.
Can you filter out the sediment that's in the rouge?
In the rouge?
Yes.
Yes, if you have, let's see, fine muslin should do it, or really fine cheesecloth should do it.
The only thing I would caution with that is that it might change the color. And that's one of the reasons I experimented with this. This is kind of why I say this. I noticed that when I took the sediment out, that the overall tone changed. And so I've always been very wary of it. But experiment, see what works better for you.
Yeah.
Can you use the cocoa butter in the hair products?
No.
Wah, wah.
Sorry.
It doesn't work the same with your body chemistry. So when you're applying this this is the lip salve on your lips, and there's lots of cocoa butter in modern lip stuff too.
Which is another reason why we were like, this will be okay.
It's a topical application. When you're doing it with your hair combined with the starch and the hair powder, they don't bind the same, and so you don't end up with the same result, and you won't be able to do the hair the same way.
Yeah, and a butter is not a fat. So it just has a different consistency overall. And this, frankly, is oilier than what it would be if it was made with the mud and tallow.
Yeah.
So no.
Sorry.
We're hoping that like some crazy chemist can like figure this out for us.
If you did, if you got in there with the chemistry and like really
like we're talking molecule stuff,
you may be able to do something, but your experiments have never resulted in something that acted the same.
No. So yeah.
So those are the hair care and cosmetics, hair care products and cosmetics that are in the book. They're in the very first part. We talk about we talk about the why of stuff and the research behind it, and then you make it, and then we talk about the why around hair powder, and then you make it, and the why around makeup, and then you make it. So it's preparing everything that you need in your toilette to then go and make the hairstyles that come second in the book.
Have you tried vegetable lard?
No, because that stuff's bad for you. And it's also oil, basically. Yeah. Shortening is just, no.
Yeah, once again, the chemistry, it doesn't bind with the hair. It's not close enough to our body chemistry to work in the same way. You can experiment with it. Yeah. But
like by all means, like experiment. Prove us, like I would love to be proved wrong on this.
You have to know, you have to have experience with the real product before you can then compare the vegetable product to it.
And here's our girl Chrissy coming in with the science. Basically, the fatty acid profiles are very, very different. And we're animals, we're mammals. So a mammal fat is going to behave better with our chemistry than a plant fat. Which is like if you were to rub this into your skin, like the pomade,
it disappears.
It disappears, and it doesn't leave like a filmy, greasy, oily residue. It is completely absorbed into your skin because it's closer to us and our chemistry. Where, if you get coconut oil, you slather that stuff on, you're like, oh, moisture, but you still have like that oily finish.
The sheen. It's
which
just on the top.
Bad thing, but it's just different. So for this case, that's why we don't recommend it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So the book comes out July 9th. It is available to pre-order on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, on our website. We offer signed copies on our website as well, which you can't get on Amazon or anywhere else. It's also available on pretty much every major bookseller. Yeah. If you are abroad, if you're outside the United States and you're worried about ordering through Amazon, you can order through us. We do ship internationally. Yeah. There's no issue of like, are we going to ship you your book or not? Yeah. Yes, we definitely will.
So that's something that we recommend. Oh yes, because we had a lot of this for the first book.
These are also only available through us.
Our publishers made us book plates. So Mama Barnes, we got you.
So many requests for these.
So and unfortunately they won't really quite work with our first book because they say 18th century beauty. So we're going to include these with books ordered from us.
Yeah, we have a limited number. It's a lot, but when we run out, we don't.
We're not actually. Yeah, how many we actually do have?
Packets.
Yeah, we have a lot, but we don't know exact how many.
Yeah. Yes.
Are you going to do any video tutorials?
Well, the thing with how-to books is we can't then take the content. This is with our publishers.
This is copyright
our contract stuff.
Yeah.
We can't then take those tutorials and then give them to you on the internet. It violates our contract.
Yeah.
So we have videos and support materials that will help That's what we're planning anyway. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you have really short hair, okay, use these pieces. But as far as a step-by-step on how to do a particular hairstyle, then no.
No.
But you may see other YouTubers taking the tutorials in our book and using them to make their own hairstyles. So I think there is going to be content, step-by-step content for you, but we can't actually, unfortunately, do it because it's in the book.
Yeah. It's like if you ever have a question, you can always shoot us an email, info@americanduchess.com, and we can do our best to help. But honestly, it's a case-by-case basis. You just gotta have to experiment, figure out what works for you. And it's like with the first book, there are some parts in this book that you will go, yes, I can do this. I have the mobile dexterity to do this. Or you will go, nope, that ain't gonna work. I ain't doing it. It's not gonna happen. Either your hair's not long enough, your hair's not short enough. You know, hair grows in interesting patterns. I don't know if Jenny LaFleur's on here because I would love to actually have her chime in on this. But like when you get to do people's hair, you realize that hair thickness changes on certain parts of the head. So like Nicole technically has a very similar hair texture to us. But when we were doing her hair and creping it and papillon curling it, there was one part where we were just like, you have so much hair right here. It just in this one little section.
Well, when I was doing Abby's hair, and
mine's the same. I have a lot like right.
Yeah, but you also shed a lot naturally,
do.
and I don't. And I'm like, why is your hair coming out?
I'm like,
she's like, oh, it's normal. I'm like, there's hair everywhere.
It's because I went on a ketogenic diet and like I lost a lot of hair, and now it's finally growing back. If anyone's curious.
So everyone's hair is different, and we'll get into this more next week when we talk about the hairstyle how-tos. But we do a lot of different types of hair.
Yeah, we tried really, really hard to expand.
Yes,
because
so it's not just hair just like mine and hers.
Because that's, what good is that?
Yeah.
Like, other than color, that's the only difference really with our hair.
Yeah.
It's just color.
So
what good is that?
We do 3C, very, very curly hair. We do Asian hair. We do we did Pacific Islander hair.
Right over there.
Yes, she is. And how the products also work on those different hair types, because it is different. And if you have that type of hair, we didn't want to go, oh, we're just going to ignore you.
Yeah, we tried to be as inclusive as possible, given like certain, time restrictions, availability.
Well, we only do 8 hairstyles in the book.
Yeah, things like that. So we do our best to try and expand as much as we can.
There's a lot more than 8 different hair types.
And including like with Cynthia, we have a redhead because redheads have very different hair.
Special hair.
Lori is a natural blonde, so we do work with natural blonde hair as well.
Yeah.
And so things
dyed
like that.
hair,
Yeah.
fine hair, thick hair
that won't take
coarse
a curl.
hair, dry hair,
We try
curly
really,
hair.
really hard. And we do make adaptations to instructions to help deal with that particular hair type. So like Jenny, who is Chinese, and she models the ski slope hairstyle, and we're kind of going into this, but I'm going to finish this. Like we ended up getting a specialty comb that's used in Japan to do geisha hair, to help work with that, because we realized there's a connection there. And so we actually bought a specific tool to work with Jenny's hair to help make it easier.
Yeah. And how much powder you put on and when.
Things like that.
How much pomade you're going to use versus not. That's your specific hair type.
Yeah, that's all you.
Experiment with these things, get into it, have a hair palm and pow party.
Yeah.
Just like, woo, yeah.
Yeah.
And figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
But we believe everybody can do these hairstyles. Some of them are easy to do on yourself and some of them not so much. You're going to need a friend.
Yeah.
But everybody can do these, and they're historically accurate. This is the accurate way they did their hair. Okay, so I think that's about it for the cosmetics and the hair care stuff.
Next week, we'll talk about the hairstyles. So that includes kind of what we've already talked about. We'll revisit that. We'll talk about the hair pieces that we made. We can answer. Yes, there's Jenny. We'll answer questions about that and just kind of go on about all the shenanigans that happened.
All the fun
Woo!
Yay. Okay.
Yeah.
Question?
We had a question about hair length, but I think you're going to cover that a lot next week.
Yeah, we'll cover that mostly next week.
Because it changes. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
And if we get into talking about
We'll be
specific
here all
haircuts
day.
right now, we'll be here all day.
Oh, we should talk about the scary thing that we both went through together, and I had to apologize to you for it in the acknowledgement section.
Yes. But that's next week.
That's next week.
Okay, guys, any last questions, write them in the comment box. Nicole will read them out to us. Otherwise, the specifics, which we've already said, but it's the American Duchess Guide to 18th Century Beauty. Everything from the shoulders up, historically accurate, hand sewing, real products, real ingredients, no hairspray.
No hairspray.
Myth busting, all kinds of cool shit in here. It comes out July 9th. You can get it on our website, Amazon.
It's almost a month away! Oh my god!
And this is the thing that you want to take your impression to that next level.
Yes. And to do a little pluggy McPlug plug, for those of you who may not know, we're going to be going to Scotland at the end of the month to recreate the Isabella McTavish Fraser wedding gown. That plaid gown that everyone shares on Pinterest. Yeah, that gown. Thanks to Rebecca Olds from Timesmith Dressmaking. When we're there, we will have that book with us. So if you would
not for sale,
not for sale,
it won't be out yet.
Because that's literally the only book we have. Because we had to send one to someone else. We used to have two. Now we have one. This is ours. Don't take it. We fight you.
Please don't steal our one.
Yeah, don't do that. But if you guys want to look through it, you can. So that's another like bonus reason to come hang out with us at the National Museum of Scotland at the end of June. Is that we will have our book for a quick little sneaky peeky poo.
Peeky. And you can watch the team. So
Yeah,
that dress, because it's weird and cool and awesome. That event, if you want information on it, go and click interested. If you're going, click going on the event in the events tab of this page.
Yes.
It's the Isabella McTavish Fraser wedding gown in a weekend. Then you'll get pinged on your phone.
Yes, which is actually what we're going to do once we're done here. We're going to go work on that.
Yes, we are. Okay, thank you so much. This video is going to stay on the news feed. If you have any more questions, type them in as comments, and we're going to answer them as comments because, of course, the video will not be live anymore.
Yes.
We've got a last second comments. See, what does it say? I can't read that far.
She says that she currently is storing her pomatum in a wooden pot and seems to be bleeding through it.
That's because it's
very
wood.
soft.
Yeah. Transfer it to glass or ceramic. So the same idea of if you have a wooden cup that doesn't have a sealer on the inside, the water will come through because it's a porous material.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you need a glazed ceramic pot, not bisque, glazed.
Yeah.
Or glass. That works too.
Yeah. Just move it.
Yep.
Yeah, and if the texture's changing, that also, there might be a mild reaction to the wood itself.
Especially if the wood has a stain on it.
Yeah, and depending on what type of wood. I mean, like, if that's, like, made out of pine, you might be dealing with some quirky chemical reactions there, too. So I would assess to see if it's actually usable, if you still want to use it. If its consistency has changed a lot, you might just want to toss it and get something new and not keep it in a wooden pot.
Yeah. Oh, she says that's what it came in. Yeah, transfer it if you don't want wood.
No.
And just avoid plastic too. Plastic gives off weird shit and is bad for the environment. So glass, ceramic, that's what they used.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it, guys. We'll see you next week. Yeah.
Bye!
AmericanDuchess.com. Love you. Bye!